Hey guys, it's Penguin here, and welcome back to another gold making video. Today this is going to be a breakdown ultimate transmog guide for people who just want to start getting into transmog, as well as people who want to just make sure they're optimizing the way that they are farming for transmog. So this is going to be a breakdown starting from what even is transmog, to how to farm it, how to get its value, what to farm, how to post, everything like that. So feel free to look at the timestamps in the description, as well as the broken down timeline, and pick whatever questions or anything you need to answer, and I hope you enjoy. So, transmog is a piece of gear that is collected and equipped strictly for its looks. Transmog can be anything from a random weapon dropped in like a current mythic dungeon, to the rare Papel Fez, which has a 0.06% drop rate. People purchase items as transmog to upgrade their looks of their characters, and a lot of the times people purchase these items because they don't want to spend the time to farm them. These items can sell anywhere between 50 to 100 gold, anywhere to even close to gold cap, depending on their rarity, demand, and looks. Now, to obtain transmog, you can do it in very different ways. There's a whole section of crafted transmog, which is strictly from professions like blacksmithing, tailoring, leatherworking, all that, and you gain patterns and you craft the item and you can sell it like that. But for this video, this is strictly going to be talking about farming transmog, which are BOEs. So basically anything that drops as a BOE is technically considered a transmog piece. So you can be questing and it will drop a random green BOE that might look kind of nice. Current content raids and dungeons may drop a nice looking piece of gear, and then we're going to be going into more in depth on the old world BOE's farming of old dungeons for transmog use. Now, transmog gets its value in 3 different ways. You have the rarity, so people who want to try to collect everything in the game, or they want this really rare item to show off. That is something people are willing to pay for. Definitely if it is combined with looks. Depending on how unique the item is or how versatile it is, it will sell for more. For example, like the Papel Fez looks like an actual fez, which is like the only type of item in this game, and so combined with its looks and its rarity, it sells for about 1.5 to 2 million gold because of just how unique it is. Also, if it's a simple piece, yet it's very versatile, people may still buy it because it can fit into multiple different sets that they have created. The last way it gets its value is also by what slot it goes in. Breastplates, shoulders, legs, and helmets always sell better than rings, necks, and bracers because they are more visible on the body. A lot of the time, the gloves or whatever hides the bracers, and you can't really see necks or rings, so the visible transmog items will normally always sell more than the non-visible. Also, weapons normally have a pretty high sell rate due to some people just using raid tier sets as their transmog pieces. However, they need to find a weapon to match them. Also, the very highly priced sets, depending on the looks, for example, the Vanguard, the Glorious, and the Jade sets are all known to be revealing transmog sets and normally used on female characters. So those are the very sought after rare transmog pieces that people want to get their hands on. Now, to actually start farming transmog, there are some few add-ons that you really should have in order to make your farming easier. The first one, that's kind of obvious, is TSM. The reason for this is that it will show pricing, it will show sell rates, and you can create operations and groups for easy posting. A part of transmog is having lots of stock, and you do not want to post that manually, so you definitely want to get TSM. The second add-on is Loot Appraiser. It is a tracking add-on that you will start during your farming, and it will track how long you've been farming. It will give you notifications of whenever you pick up an item that has a very good value, and also you can easily reset your instances using this add-on. The third one that is recommended is either Peddler or Scrap. They both do the same thing, but they will automatically sell the random junk items that you have after you open a vendor, so you can do this between runs. And you can also set like potions and food to be considered junk items, so you can just sell them whenever you open a vendor and you don't have to worry about sorting through your bags. Now, these next two are not required, however, they are still recommended. You have Bagnon/Addibag. They are both bag add-ons, and they create basically all of your bags into one big bag. And I personally like this because it's easier to sort your transmog because you don't have to look through each bag to find each piece. Also, Bagnon creates your guild bank and your actual bank into one big bag as well, so you don't have to be sorting through different bag tabs and all that. However, this is not required. And lastly, the last add-on I recommend is Atlas Loot. Basically, Atlas Loot shows the items that you can obtain from each dungeon in the game. So let's say you find dead mines and you want to know what drops from dead mines. Then you can look at Atlas Loot and it will list all the items that have a potential to drop as well as how rare it is. How exactly do I farm transmog? Now, there are two different types of transmog farming. There is solo farming as well as group farming. Now, we will go into both, but first we're going to talk about solo farming. Now, transmog in general is calculated by gold per hour, and as a solo farmer, you will be running dungeons. Now, dungeons, they can be run 10 times within the hour until you are locked out until that hour cooldown ends. Now, because of this, you want to make sure that each run of the dungeon is under 6 minutes in order to make sure you are getting 10 runs within the hour. Basically, this just makes sure that you maximize your transmog per hour by completing all 10 runs. Now, some dungeons are short and may only take 20 minutes, while some will push very, very close to that 60-minute mark. It ultimately depends on your class, your speed, as well as your route that you are taking. Now, group farming is normally open world farms, which means that there is a spot in the world that you gather 5 people or 2 groups of 4, and you just kill mobs until a certain time, and then you loot, and then you continue. Now, you can either do it with a group of 5, or you could do it with 2 groups of 4. The reasoning for this is because when you have a group of 4, you still have 1 loot spot opportunity because you don't have that 5th person, and so that other group, since they're grouped up, they count as 1 person. So basically, 8 people are getting loot, and that's 8 times more as fast than 1 person killing stuff. Now, to find these group farms, you will want to go onto the group finder page in the instance page, and you want to go under custom. Then you can look up specific locations. Famous ones in the past have been Silithus, as well as Saltstone Cave and other things like that. There's also some in Tanaris, there's some in the Booty Bay area, stuff like that. Now, how do I farm transmog efficiently? In order to do this, you will want to choose your class very, very wisely. Now, for solo dungeon farming, you will want a druid. The druid, hands down, is the best class for transmog farming due to it being able to go into cat form in instances, so you can have that increased movement speed, as well as it being able to AoE down mobs very, very easily, and you have your ranged abilities, which you can use to tag things in group farms, as well as other places. Now, if you do not have a druid, that is okay. You can still use classes that have high movement speed, and you can get the same thing done. You just might not get it as fast as you would as a druid. Monk is a good example of this because you have your rolls and you have your kicks and everything like that, which will propel you forward. So you can also use a monk for this. Also, for group farms, sometimes you use the monk statue in order to gain aggro. So a monk is the second best option. Now, lastly, rogue is a very good option because some dungeons, their high value items come from chest, and they are locked unless you can lockpick it with a rogue. The other way to get around this is that you can have your druid or your monk to have either inscription, jewelry crafting, blacksmithing, basically anything that can craft a key or some type of unlocking scroll in order to unlock the chest themselves. But if you do not have these professions, then yes, a rogue would be very good for this. Now, talking about dungeons to farm, if you are brand new and you do not have any transmog, you want to fill up your bank. To get solid sales, you will need about 1,000 to 2,000 items to fill up and put on the auction house to reach those daily sales. Now, these are my recommended dungeons to farm. Of course, you do not have to do these. These are just my top favorites, and this will fill up your bank quickly. So each of these you will want to farm for at least 1 hour, which is 10 runs. And if you do not have enough items by the end of it, then you will just want to repeat the process until you hit 1,000 to 2,000 items. Now, the first one is Zul'Farrak, which is in Tanaris. It is a very, very good farm. It is outside, so you can actually mount up in it, and it's a circle route, which is very easy to follow, and it fills up your bank very quickly. You also have the drop for the Papal Fez, as well as Jade leg plates, and everything like that, so that is a very good starter. The second one is RFD, Razorfin Downs. It is a very good one. Same with Razorfin Crawl. They both kind of go together, and you will want to have somebody who can unlock chests, so either a profession druid or a rogue in order to go there, because you can get the Star Belt pattern, for example, which goes for about 200 to 800k, depending on your server. So those are two other ones that you need to go and farm. Dire Maul is the fourth one. It is in Feralis, and basically you just want to run 10 hours of it, 10 runs of it, and as well as Transmog, you will also get Fellcloth, which you can turn into Mooncloth. My fifth favorite is Mana Tombs. It is actually a very short dungeon. You can complete 10 runs within 20 minutes if you go very fast. It might take 30 minutes or 40 minutes if it's your first time. However, it is a very straight path, and you end up at the exit every time. Now, the good thing about Mana Tombs is you get lots of Transmog, as well as cloth. You get Netherweed cloth, and if you bring a miner in there, there's plenty of nodes of ore that you can also mine up during your time of farming for Transmog. Now, the last dungeon I recommend is AQ20, which is in Silithus. This is just a good all-around Transmog farm. Basically, once again, you'll just fill up your bank. It has some drop chances for Vanguard, Jade, Glorious, stuff like that. So those are my top 5 dungeons that you should run to get started. Now, after you have plenty of items to put on the auction house, so anywhere between 1,000 to 2,000, then you can start farming dungeons for high-ticket items. Uldaman is a very, very good example for this. Now, the thing about Uldaman is that you are only looking for high-ticket items inside of it, like the Blade of Wizardry, as well as the Papal Fez. Those are some of the items that can drop, however, they have a very low drop rate, and the thing about Uldaman is that most of the time, you don't get anything from the runs. The thing is, with Uldaman, you can run it for 3 hours and still not make any gold because you did not hit any high-ticket item. This is meant for people who have plenty of stock, who just wants to try to hit those high targets without trying to fill up their bank. So this is definitely more of an advanced dungeon to farm. So after you fill up your bank, you can start looking into it. So after filling up your bank, basically, the question that I've kind of already answered is how many items should I have posted? Now, this definitely depends on your server because of your population of your server and everything like that. Now, to reach the average daily sales, or 1 to 3 sales every day, you will want 1,000 to 2,000 items posted. Now, these are not the same items. For example, if you have 5 of the same sword, that only counts for 1 item. That is not 5 different items. So you want 1,000 different items that you can post on the auction house that people will want to buy. Now, until you reach the 500 to 1,000 mark, you should not discriminate on what you are posting. Some people only want to post items that are worth 1,000 gold or more. And yes, that is understandable, but whenever you have 0 stock, you should not discriminate on what you want to have posted. because that will just make it harder for you actually to start gaining those daily sales. Because even if you are making only 50 gold or 200 gold sales, that is at least still making sales instead of just having nothing coming in with gold-wise. So, what transmog items actually sell? Now, this is a good question, and normally, all of them. Now, if you have TSM, on the bottom of your tooltip, whenever you hover over an item, there is a sell rate. Now, these sell rates mean different things, and I will walk you through them. However, you should not really worry about this until you hit that threshold of 500 to 1,000 auctions. Now, the lowest sell rate you will see is 0.01. This is very, very low, the lowest it can be, and that means that this item sells an average in one item every 100 days. So if you post this item for 100 days straight, then basically you should be able to sell at least one of them within those days. Now, the thing about TSM is that 0.01 is the lowest it will show, even if that percentage is actually lower. Now, that 0.01 can actually be a 0.005 or a 0.001. It's just transmog and anything like that. Any item in the game will not go lower because that's how TSM's set up. So when you have an item with a 0.01 sell rate, it might take 300 days. It might take 400 days. It might take 200 days. It might take 201 days. It might take 101 days. You just do not know. It is just very, very long, and that is why you want multiple items. For example, if you have 1,000 items with a 0.01 sell rate, you are guaranteed to at least sell 1 to 10 items every 100 days because of that sell rate. Now, 0.02 is the next sell rate you will see. This is pretty good. This is basically kind of average and above average for transmog pieces, and it basically calculates to 1 in every 50 days this item sells. Now, of course, depending on the price, it will mean different things. For example, a transmog item that is worth 100k plus with a 0.02 sell rate is very, very, very good, because normally high value transmog has a low sell rate since people want that item, normally has to spend a lot of gold with it, so some people won't buy that item. So a 0.02 is really good on higher priced items, and it is pretty average on the lower priced items. Now, a 0.03 and above is very, very good no matter the price. Now, this means that about in 1 in 30 days, like 1 in 33 days, this item sells, which is very good no matter what the price is, and anything above this is even better. There are some that have a 0.06 sell rate, there are some that have a 0.07, and just like the Shadow Weave Mask, which is technically a crafted transmog piece, with a 0.11 sell rate is very, very, very good. So definitely keep all items that have a 0.03 sell rate. Now, after you hit that threshold and you want to start narrowing down what exactly you are posting, and you don't want to post everything, what I do is that if it has a 0.01 sell rate, it has to be higher than 1,000 gold. If it has a 0.02 sell rate, it needs to be higher than 500 gold. And if it has a 0.03 sell rate, I keep everything above 100 gold. That is my personal thresholds. However, that is currently up to you and how you want to pick what items to post. Now, the next part of this video is going to be a breakdown of what I do with my items after an hour of farming. Now, what I did before this video was that I did 10 runs of Zul'Farrak. That is currently everything that I have in my bags. I have already sold off all of my junk items, as well as like the random food and potions that you get, as well as sorted them in my bags. Now, to be honest, this run was probably the worst Zul'Farrak 10 runs I have ever had. However, that happens to the best of us, so that is why I'm still using this data to show you guys. So after 10 runs of Zul'Farrak, I got 1,300 Mage Weave Cloth, I got 80 Silk Weave Cloth, I got 2 Aquamarines, 1 Star Ruby, and a bunch of Transmog. Now, I have kind of separated this to show you guys what I have been talking about within my previous clips about how to sort through transmog and stuff like that. So the first thing is recipes and patterns that you get during transmog runs. For example, I got the plans of the light earth forged blade as well as this formula. As you can see, this sells for about 21 gold and this sells for about 250 gold. However, I still make sure I keep them because as you can see, that average sell rate for the region sell rate is 0.04, which is very, very good. Also, going into that, I have 2 rare items, which normally, no matter what, I keep these, which is the Spell Shock leggings, as well as the black metal cape. As you can see, this one sells for about 5k, and this one sells for about 1k. Now, starting at the bottom, we have our 0.01 sell rate average items. As you can see, a lot of them are bracers, because like I said, bracers do not sell as often, and just other low value transmog. As you can see, this one goes for 300, and everything is about in the 2000s. We do have this heavy hitter at 6,000, and this one is low at 300 gold. I keep all of these because, once again, I am just building stock, so there's no reason to get rid of these unless you have a ton of them or anything like that. Right here, we kind of have our middle, and we have our 0.02 sell rates. As you can see, some of them are even lower priced. And like this one's only 160 gold, and this one's 240, stuff like that. However, this one sells for 3,500, this one sells for 6,000, anything like that. So these are our 0.02 sell rate items. Over here is our 0.03. As you can see, we have a little bit less of them. For example, this weapon looks like this, a little dagger, and it only sells for 34 gold. However, I personally am still going to keep it because it has a 0.03 sell rate. And lastly, we have our over 0.03 sell rates. So we have this mask that is 0.05, this weapon that is 0.05, this sword that is 0.07, and then we have a 0.03. Now, as you can see, this weapon only goes for 25 gold. However, it has a 0.05 sell rate, which means it will sell fast, which is why I would post this on the auction house and just make that easy 25 gold. I mean, that seems very low right now, but let's say you sell 5 items at 25 gold, then it actually starts to build up. Also, with this sword, it only sells for under 200 gold. However, it has a 0.07 sell rate, which is very, very good. And if I post this within a week, it's going to be gone. Also, this mask, it doesn't sell for a lot, but you can tell it's one of the bandit style masks, so that's why it sells. Now, if we calculate bag value, basically from 10 runs of Zul'Farrak, we have 61,000 gold in inventory worth. Now, of course, these are transmog pieces and items fluctuate, stuff like that, and these won't sell all in one day. However, this is already 61,000 gold in stock. Now, as a new player, what I would do is make a bank tune, sell all of this, and then put it on the auction house, and then do your other runs, stuff like that, keep building. Now, if you're a more advanced player, or you have that 1,000 item threshold, then you can start looking at these items and see if it's worth keeping. For example, I would not keep these 2 items because they sell for less than 1,000 gold, and they are bracers. I would keep everything else on this layer. For this one, I would get rid of these gloves for selling for only 150 gold. And I would keep everything else on this layer. I would keep both of these items and all of these items. And I would also keep all of these because they sell for over 250 gold. Keep in mind, this one's not, but I'm still going to keep it because it's a weapon. But that's basically, I would get rid of these 3 items, and everything else for me is worth keeping. And so yeah, that's basically what I do. After every transmog run, I basically just look at what's worth keeping, vendor the rest, and then sell everything else. And so this is kind of the method that you want to do after every hour run of your transmog farms. Now, to actually store transmog, you will want to create a bank tune. Now, bank tunes are basically just characters that sit at org or whatever major city you want them to sit at by a mailbox and by a auction house, and they will store all of your transmog and post it daily. Currently, I have this as my transmog bank. However, I am currently moving it over to a level 10 because if you do not know, level 10s can actually be recovered if they've been deleted. Anything below a level 10 cannot. So technically, if I were to delete this character, I would have no way to actually regain everything on this character, which is why I am in the process of moving it to a level 10. However, if we go onto this character, alright, so if we go onto this character, as you can see, I have an inventory full of transmog. Now, ever since Shadowlands has released, I have not actively farmed transmog, which is why I don't have that many auctions right now. However, I am still improving that. Now, as you can see, I have about 600 in my mailbox, as well as a full inventory worth, and
can I lighten that coin purse up for you?
I have 120 auctions posted for about 500k of worth. Now, if I were to post everything, I have about a 3 million gold worth in transmog. Now, this is just strictly based on just having a ton of auctions, and I get about 1 to 5 sales daily. Now, the reason why you want TSM is to post your items very fast in a timely manner, and you do not have to do this manually. For example, if I go to the WoW UI, then I would have to click, make sure it's a reasonable price, and hit create auction. And see, whenever I don't have a price, then I would have to go in here, type in a price, click manual option. And so this is very, very time consuming. And it would take a lot of time to do this. So this is why you use TSM. So this is actually not my recent profile. This is just a profile I am using for an example for this video. But basically, you just hit post scan, and this takes everything in your inventory and will post it at its price. As you can see, right now it is using the hashtag default operation because this is not my transmog group. I am just using this for an example. And it is posting it at its own calculated. Now, using hashtag default is not always the worst thing. However, you do have to be careful with prices. I would highly recommend looking into operations and crafting your own operation so you can make sure you're making the most out of your transmog. However, if you do not have the time to make an operation, as well as you're not exactly sure what to do, hashtag default is okay for transmog, but I highly do not recommend it for materials or anything like that. Every once in a while, you will get this, for example. This sells for about only 500 gold, but it's or 5,000 gold, but it's posting it for 14,000 due to its default operation price. But after you do this, I have a keybind which I hold control and spin the scroll wheel on my mouse, and it will instantly start posting. So doing this will just instantly post on my auctions, or you can also click it. Sorry if you could hear the clicks in the mouse wheel, it's kind of loud. But yeah, this is how I post my auctions, and this gets them posted up in a timely manner. If, for example, if we want to look at this Waremonger item, because I'm using that default operation, it is setting it at 95,000. However, realistically, I'm only going to get about 10,000 gold out of it. So I'm going to skip that and post that manually. Now, this just happens because I do not have operations. However, if you make your own, this will not happen. So in this scenario, I would go into here, and somebody actually does have it posted at 90k, which is also what's happening. So I guess I'll post it. But if it was only me, I would post it at about 10k to get a actual sale from it.
Come back anytime.
So yeah, I highly recommend a bank tune. You can also make a guild bank strictly for transmog, depending on how much stock you have. But yes, this is how I go about posting my transmog. Now, to anyone wondering about what my actual transmog operation is, this is a short preview of it. Currently, I sell it for 24 hours. I only post one at a time, and this doesn't really matter, but basically if an item doesn't sell within 5,000 auctions, then I will sell it, because that's 5,000 days in which it did not sell. Now I have the price, blah blah, undercut value, stuff like that. Now this is my minimum, maximum, and normal price. Now this penguin is actual custom source. So if I go into settings and hit custom sources, I actually created this one. I'm not going to show you guys that because that is kind of like my personal stuff, as well as it's kind of confusing to new people, which is why I didn't want to share that and accidentally mess you guys up. However, you can replace that with DB market. You could replace that with minimum buyout, you can replace that with market value. You could replace that with DB market. You could replace that with region DB market, anything like that. But that is currently my transmog posting price. So yeah, that is how I go about after farming my transmog, how I sort it, how I send it to my bank tune, and then how I post it on my auction house. So yeah, guys, that is pretty much my ultimate transmog guide. I hope this helps. Basically, just follow the steps, make sure you get the add-ons, make sure you make the right class, make sure you run through these dungeons, make yourself a bank tune, start using TSM to post things, and yeah, I hope this guide helps you start into your transmog journey, and definitely keep us updated about how your sales are going. If you want to, there is a Discord down below which you can post your screenshots, any of your questions that you may have. So not only I can help you, but basically we have 300 members right now, so any of those 300 people can help you out as well. Feel free to leave any questions, concerns in the comments down below. Like, comment, subscribe, and have a good day.